You got it. Meetings being live streamed. Admit all.
You see Audrey?
Welcome.
Guys.
Hi, Audrey.
Hi, Audrey.
So exciting.
Hello.
Everybody to mute themselves.
We're just going to give it a few minutes, guys. If everyone joining can just, grab your pens and paper. We're going to take lots of notes, but we'll introduce everyone in about 5 minutes or so.
I'm sure we have some Canadians online for sure.
Yeah, give a big shout out. I'm seeing some Americans, we've got Canadians, Europeans, we've got some Turkey in the house. We have, even some Islanders. How are you, neighbors?
Howdy.
Georgia, USA. There you go. Give a shout out in the bottom, guys, in the chats of where you're from. I'll be happy to shout it out.
Let us see where you guys are all joining from. Cabarete.
Woo, woo.
Yes. Colorado.
Missouri, UK. Love it. Cabarete. Another Colorado. Montreal. Cambridge, Ontario. Yes.
Cambridge. We're from Kitchener-Waterloo. So, hey, neighbor.
Mississippi.
Oh, yes, Bobby. You're from Cambridge and Kitchener-Waterloo as well.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Guys, it's so great to have so many of you here tonight. We want to thank everybody. Give it a couple more minutes. Once we've got everyone on here, then we'll introduce ourselves. And just again, thank you all for making the time and joining us tonight.
I see a couple of people here from Toronto. Maziar, I see people from Kitchener. Murat, thank you very much, everybody, for joining this call. We're very excited to have you all here. Hey, Henry.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Thanks for inviting me. I'm so glad to be here. I'm really looking forward to this webinar tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, you're going to share some really, really good stuff. I'm really excited.
Thank you for joining. Guys, once we start the webinar, if you don't mind muting your microphones, and once we start the Q&A, we will have whoever has a question to enable your microphone so we can hear you.
Hi, Maziar.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Maziar. How are you?
Great, great. How are you?
Fantastic. Enjoying Toronto better than Winnipeg?
No.
No.
Winnipeg is the best.
Really? I will ask you that question when the winter time comes. Keep that aside. Lovely seeing you here, brother.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. So I want to thank everybody. It's our pleasure to be here tonight. We want to share and express some of our successful experiences, why we chose Dominican Republic. We've got great speakers on the call this evening, and I'm just going to ask everyone who's maybe not familiar with Zoom. We're going to be going through a slideshow. So where you can see all your participants, you can actually minimize those people so you don't have a big screen of faces. Unless you want to see everyone, please, by all means, use the controls as you wish. Again, big shout out to everybody that's here today. We've got, like I said, Canada, UK, United States, Europe. We've got people on the island and off the island. And this is just such a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight. I want to introduce myself. My name is Brittany Bahar. I'm Linda's partner in life, as well as her dedicated assistant. We have Brett McHenry on the call, the president of RealtorDR. We have Linda, the team lead and one of the top real estate agents here at RealtorDR. And we have Robert McEachran, who is the CEO and our first speaker this evening. So Bobby, I would love to give you the opportunity to take it away, share with everybody what it is that brought you as well to RealtorDR.
Yes, absolutely. What a privilege to share this webinar with all the guests from different parts of the world. So probably, I guess we can start with, who am I, or my professional background. So I've been mostly in the sales industry my entire life. I started off in the furniture industry. I worked as a director of sales for Lastman's Bad Boy Furniture. And in my time as the director of sales, we were able to move the company from 4 locations at $40 million up to 7 locations and about $78 million. From there, I went on to work with The Brick. The Brick was the largest furniture company in Canada, and I worked as a sales trainer. So we used to have our entire region of Ontario transfer all our new hires down, and my passion was sales, and I had the opportunity to share with them sales. From there, I thought it would be easier to open up my own business. So I opened up my own furniture, appliance, electronics store. And in 2015, I sold that. I relocated into the Kitchener-Waterloo market. But in the process between selling the business and moving and building a home in Kitchener-Waterloo, my family, my wife and my 2 children, Rosalie, say hi, age 9, and my son, 12, we moved to the Dominican Republic, and we spent a year here. And it was the most magical year that we had, because we had our freedom of time. We did things like surfing, horseback riding, jujitsu. My son went to one of the best schools on the island, the international school. Great, amazing community. And from there, once the house was done built, I entered back into the Kitchener, into the Canadian lifestyle, and opened up my other company, which is called MVP Properties. And we invested in student rental properties. In 2019, sold off our portfolio and packed up our bags. And in January 2020, moved back down to the Dominican Republic full time. So for a lot of people, is it possible with a young family to relocate and do well? Absolutely, of course it is. From the personal reasons and why we made the change, we've been coming to this part of the island now for close to 10 years. Before we actually spent the year, we would spend winters here. So we'd spend like a month at a time, 6 weeks at a time, to get to know the community, to get to know the people around there. But for us, relocating full-time back 3 years ago, the main purpose was quality of time. We wanted to be able to spend our time with our family. And for me, it was important because the time that we had with our children was extremely valuable. That being said, we don't look back. It was one of the best decisions we made. Everyone knows in March of 2020, the world kind of turned upside down, and we had a lot of gratitude. We live in a gated community called Susua Ocean Village, great walking trails, access to the ocean, restaurants. And during that pandemic time, we actually got to spend a lot more time with our family, get to know each other a lot more. And it was a blessing in disguise. And in that process, I met a gentleman at our pool who is my neighbor, Brett Henry, who's on the call. And he was in real estate down here, and he has his own story, and I'm sure he'll touch a little bit on it. And he told me about the frustrations that he was realizing in the real estate field here in the Dominican Republic. So I challenged him. I said, well, why not just talk about it? Why not be about it? Let's fix it. And shortly after, during the pandemic, is when RealtorDR started. Fast forward 2 years later, we have 16 sales agents, 5 support staff. And this year, we're on pace to help, or move over 200 units, help many families and many investors enter the Dominican Republic as a part of their portfolio, as a part of relocation, or maybe just obtaining their dream home. So why did we pick the Dominican Republic? There's many reasons why. So one of the reasons why we chose the Dominican Republic is about the cost of living. It's a lot cheaper to live here. So there's a few things that I want to mention. Where living better costs less, and if you can earn in dollars and spend in pesos, you're much better off. For example, we have a full-time maid who works with us. So she's here from 8 to 5 p.m., 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday to Friday. And for her to assist our family, because she's a part of our family now, that costs us about $300 American per month. Our gardener is about 150, and he does all our gardening. He does all our pool work. Foods. We have tons of clients who have these large mango trees on their yard, and they just beg us to go and pick mangoes so they don't fall on the ground and go to waste. A lot of things here are a lot cheaper, even things like gasoline. The other reason why we chose to live here is the climate. So I think over the last year, when I was talking to a lot of my friends, it was a doozy of a winter, super cold. I remember the first day that I bought my snowblower, I was so happy to use it. The second day, I wasn't as happy. The third day, I was like, man, where's this little kid who wants to shovel my lawn? I'm ready to dish out some cash to help him grow his business over there. The Dominican Republic is very close to the equator. We have sunrise and sunset within an hour the entire year. We have greenery all across the island, 12 months of the year. Growing seasons, 3 growing seasons per year, where Canada or in some parts of the US, maybe only once. And our average climate over here is 28 degrees Celsius. And in the North Coast, a lot of people are like, wow, the Dominican is hot. Yes, you're right, it is hot. But on the North Coast, come 11 a.m. in the morning, we have one of the most beautiful breezes coming off the ocean possible to always keep you nice and cool. Also with the country, with the Dominican Republic, okay, is compared to some of the other islands that are comparable in the Caribbean, we actually produce more than we can consume. So that helps lower the cost. Also, it's actually a big island with over 9 million people in major cities like Santiago and Santo Domingo, just a couple hours drive away. It's easy to get modern day luxuries, but it's also easy to maintain or hold inline inflation. A lot of people, when we talk about the Dominican Republic, well, they're like, we don't know how to speak Spanish. Don't worry. A lot of the people who have relocated do not speak Spanish. And my Spanish is nothing to brag about. Going into where we're located in the North Coast, we have one of the most or largest concentration of expats. Those are like considered like people relocating here, ideally from America or from Canada. So getting around in English is absolutely okay. Also, we're a tourist destination. So a lot of the people who are from this part of the island speak multiple languages, not only English, but French, German. There's a lot of culture from outside of the island that's concentrated here on the North Coast. So if you don't speak Spanish, don't worry, you absolutely can get by. A lot of people do the all-inclusive. One of the reasons why they always choose the Dominican Republic is because they enjoy the food. We have a wide selection of food, fresh seafood, chicken, you name it, everything from entry-level meals that can come in as low as under $5 Canadian, all the way up to fine dining. And a good fine dining meal at my favorite restaurant, for example, Bliss, Italian restaurant, for me and my wife to go on a date night with a bottle of wine will probably run about $60 to $70 Canadian, which is affordable compared to some other parts. Beautiful views. Sometimes I forget that we're actually on an island. I live walking distance to the ocean, so it probably takes me about 3 to 4 minutes walk to go to the ocean. And the ocean where we're from, you have so many different beaches. You have everything from beaches where you have waves in different colors, all the way to coves where you have snorkeling paradise. And we got a light issue. And it's also an outdoor adventures paradise. Put it all the way down. There you are. Thank you. From everything from, we're actually the Caribbean's #1 water sports destination. So if it comes to kite surfing, windsurfing, or surfing, hiking, there's so many different things to explore, not only in the North Coast, but all across the entire island. If you're an active person, this is absolutely a place that you can go to, and 365 days a year, you have something to do. And it's the high quality of life, right? So one of the questions that I want to ask the group, and I want you to think about it as we go through the rest of the call, is how do you want to spend your time? Because that's a question that sometimes we neglect. When we're super busy and life is moving and fast forward, we don't get time back. It's one of the few commonalities that we all have in common is the fact that there's only 24 hours a day. So how do you want to spend it? How do you want to spend the quality of time with your family? What type of lifestyle do you want? Do you want to be out in the sun? Do you want to be active? Do you want to be in great shape? And that's one of the reasons, the biggest reasons why we made our decision to relocate here to the Dominican Republic. So as we go through the rest of the call, put that question in the back of your minds. So the next couple, Linda and Brittany, I actually met them over a year ago on a very similar webinar to this. And it's with my absolute pleasure to introduce to them so that they can share their story with you.
Awesome, Bobby. Thank you so much. And we appreciate hearing again you on this call because like you said, 1 year ago, Linda and I were on a Zoom call thinking about, okay, are we going to go back to Dominican? We spent the summer here. Is this our next goal? And with that, I'll let Linda share our story.
Can I say people? So, hey guys, it's Linda Bahar here. It's a great pleasure to be here to share our story with you guys with as much abundance and greatness that this island brought to our life in the past couple of years. I'm originally Turkish Iranian born and raised in Iran, and I moved to Canada back in 2010. Worked hard for many years, regretted the cold every winter that came along, and moving into to a tropical country and actually investing for a vacation home was one of our dreams. We actually didn't just land on Dominican Republic. We did a lot of researches on different countries such as Mexico, Belize, and many other countries that was a potential for us. And after traveling and doing a lot of researches, actually, as like when the pandemic hit, it kind of fastened our process of deciding to move. I was closely watching the real estate market because I'm a real estate investor in Canada for the past 7 years. And it was my first pandemic that I was ever experiencing. So it was very different. I was worried and I was very closely looking at the market to see what's going to happen, what was the potential. So we decided, as I was like, again, trying to figure out what would be the best step to take, we decided to sell a majority of our properties in Canada because I could feel that the shift was about to happen. We kind of rushed in some of our properties, which I promised myself that I will not regret, and I haven't, because we made a lot of smart investments in Dominican Republic to make our time worthwhile. We actually heard from some of our friends that they were talking about Dominican, and the first time that I actually traveled to DR wasn't back in 2017. And actually, due to our mistake on booking a hotel, I said I will never come back to Dominican Republic. That was back in 2017. They say never, and I always use that, and I always give it a second chance. So when we heard about our friends, we decided to join the webinar and meet Bobby and Brett and everybody, all my current colleagues now. And it actually started making sense. And we were like, you know what, let's take a trip while we can. Back in the day, borders were open. So we were like, let's go. So we decided to take a trip to Dominican Republic and see it for ourselves because it was just way too good to be true. So when we came down here and actually like got to experience to see how safe it is and how profitable the business can be, it was actually checking all of our boxes. In terms of like owning a home here, which was very important for me because I was a foreigner to buy and invest in Dominican Republic, the purchase process was actually very easy, and we had every right on our property, just like a local person will do here. And you can actually hold the title and stuff like that. And it was just like unbelievable for me because we checked a lot of other countries that was kind of a huge downfall for us if we couldn't hold the title.
That was
So-
definitely when you're selling everything in your home country and you're deciding to go somewhere new. One of the biggest things that may sound materialistic, but we still wanted to hold on to something tangible. And so looking at, like she said, different islands, different countries, we ended up landing on a place that we could invest and still call home without those risks of when do you have to leave? Is it 20 days? Can you stay for 15 days? All this research in, we found out that as foreign home buyers, we could own our property and start enjoying it right away. So that was a huge thing for our security.
Yeah, yeah. And as a like safety wise, because it's just me and my wife that are living here, there is no man really in the house, other than like some people know my cousin has joined the group now here in our team. But that was a huge bonus for us to make sure that we did feel safe where we are living. We do live in a gated community right now, Hispaniola residential, which is fantastic. It's only 800 meters to the beach and all that. But even if someone decides to live outside of gated community, it's still very safe. We have special police here that is just for the expat community and the tourists, that they do dress differently, and they're everywhere that the tourists or expats can be. So they can be an extra eye and to make sure that everything is good. So yeah, we are very happy here. Like the weather is fantastic. I mean, we were planning originally to be only spending our time 6 months in our vacation home, but since 2020, since the world shifted, we ended up moving here, and we were very happy with the way Dominican Republic was handling the pandemic time and all that. So we decided to move here permanently. We still visit home sometimes in Canada, and we are actually very blessed here. I'm grateful every day for this experience.
Part of one of the things we were analyzing as well, guys, was if we were going to still have investments in Canada and have them here, how was that going to be profitable for us? And was it even going to be possible? And so, you know, we started comparing some of the assets that we had in Canada to what we had here. And as you'll see, you know, $1 million home in Toronto, or let's even go with the average home cost in Canada, North America, is around $865,000 right now. So you need a 20% down payment for those things in order to obtain a mortgage and to have that home. What you can do is, or what Linda and I decided to do, was take our investments out of Canada and utilize that down payment to actually cash purchase something. So I'll get you to kind of explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, Canadian market has started to really make me worried because most of our assets were financed and we only had 20% down payment. So I started really thinking about, hey, what if the market shifted? What if the prices went down? Because all the prices in Canada and States and most of the countries now, it's all inflation. Right, they're not realistic numbers that they can be tangible and keep the value, because like when you look at your property tax value, that's what the real value of your home is, not what we pay for it. So when that happened, I started thinking about like, how can I enter a cash market? How can I enter a market that I actually own my property and I don't have to worry about a crash? Because, you know, once the crash happens, bank comes after their money. We can't sell our properties for the values that we paid for. And right now we're like, we will be in a hole. And I worked way too hard for my money since I moved to Canada, and I could not risk it, just like everybody else, right? We don't want to risk our assets. So we put together this comparison for everybody here that I used back in the day for myself to kind of make sense of why I should be making this move. Is it okay to start going? Perfect.
Yeah,
so in the left side of the screen, we have a $1 million home in Canada that if you want to purchase that house as an investor, you have to put down 30%, which is $300,000. And if you're a first-time home buyer or just like buying a home for yourself, you have to put at least 20% down to not pay the CMHC insurance. And let's say as an investor for myself, if let's say I was to rent that house, it will be renting around $3,000 to $3,500, depending on the location, obviously. But if you go to certain parts in Toronto, obviously you can't find even a home for $1 million. But But average overhead that you will have every month is $3,000 roughly, depending. Again, interest rates are going to keep going higher and higher every day. Mortgage, $3,000, insurance, $150, property tax, about $300, utilities, the rentals will pay. And if you rent that house for $3,500, you will only profiting $50, and if that. Now, I want to take that number and let's say only 20% of that you put as down payment in Canada. Let's say you have that cash and you move that to Dominican Republic. If you put $200,000 and purchase a 2-bedroom condo, let's say, I'm just using a simple math, your return on investment, which I always pay attention to keep for my investors, is at least 1% on their purchase price every month, which totals to 12% every year. So utility cost, let's say it's $200. And these numbers, they're all realistic because we run numbers based on the investment properties that our clients and stuff has. HOA, which is a association number, associate payment each month for the condo, $250, insurance, $50. And if you rent it for $125 a night, nightly rates are a little bit higher than that, but we wanted to get an average of yearly. And let's say if you were to rent it for 20 nights of each month, you will be profiting $2,000 after taking all your expenses off. And again, this is on the minimal side. It's in the minimum side. I always aim to impress my clients and whoever is investing here. So I rather to not overpromise and underdeliver. These numbers can actually be higher. This is the minimum side that we are giving as an example. So
now, based off those examples, guys, we actually have a few examples right away that we can give you of clients that Linda has sold to in the last 3 months to give you real live experiences of what people in the market are actually experiencing right now. So 3 locations you heard Bobby mention. He's an SOV, which is a beautiful gated community, very central. These are all central locations, guys. We're talking 10 minutes from the beach, 10 minutes from your groceries or less. And these are all, let's say, walking distance, because as much as we all drive here, we're 800 meters from the beach. They are 3.9 kilometers from the beach. And so all of this is very central. So when you're looking at closeness to your hospitals, your police stations, your grocery stores, banks, these 3 locations we're going to go over are all very central. And so we have Casa Linda, Sosua, Ocean Village, and Playa Grande Laguna, which are 3 partially gated communities. Playa Grande Laguna is partially gated. It's not fully gated. Sosua, Ocean Village, and Casa Linda are both gated hotel style communities that will give you security, amenities, and that modern look that a lot of renters are looking for when it comes to an investment. This is one of the homes Linda sold in Casa Linda. The property generates on average $510 a night and is currently booked 20 days on average each month. Now, I just want to kind of take a moment. I'm in finance, so I'm big on numbers. When I say average, guys, we didn't pick the highest end of the booking. We actually created an average for each one of these investments to make sure you're looking at accurate numbers. This property specifically books for $1,400 a night over Christmas, but on average, it is booking for $510, creating an ROI of 3% on the purchase price. So netting $10,000 a month. This is a home that, I'm sorry, 1.5%, my apologies, which is netting $10,000 each month after the owner's expenses. Another option in Casa Linda, if you want to look at something a little bit more cost efficient around that $200,000 we were talking about, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom units are currently available in Casa Linda around the $255 mark and are generating an ROI of 1% at $150 a night. Again, these are direct clients that Linda has sold to in the last 3 months. You can find their listings on Airbnb, And if you have any questions on how we were able to obtain these numbers, please write that down and we'll be happy to expand on it either at the end of the call or independently one-on-one. One of the values I found about Casa Linda, not everybody is immediately ready to jump in on an investment and start renting or start their business venture here on the island. There are pre-construction options that are great for people looking to invest within the next 6 to 12 months. Casa Linda specifically has 10 unique villa styles that you can choose from, a 24-hour gated community with a hotel vibe, where you can utilize a kids' water park, lazy river, lounge pool, mini golf, on-site restaurant and bars, and a shuttle service that actually takes you to and from that gated community to the local city. So you can go to Sosua, you can go to the beach, you can go to Cabarete, all of which is free of charge if you are staying or residing in Casa Linda. And another great example would be one of your most recent sales in Playa Laguna.
Yes, this is one of my most favorite sales that I did for one of my clients, and they're actually landing on an island tomorrow. We're going to welcome them and bring them to their new home. This home is actually very, very impressive. I can send you guys the link for it on the Airbnb that I had saved from previous owner. This property rents for pretty much 20 to 30 days a month at minimum of $450 in the low season, and go sky's the limit from there. $700 was the last time that I looked at it, and it actually gives you 3% ROI. We purchased this house. The purchase price on it, the sale price was $400,000. And my client was really aggressive on the offer, and they're like, you know what, we really want this house. And we went on full price and got the home for them. And if they were to use it as their rental property, they will net 3% ROI every month, which comes to about $12,000 after taking the expenses off. These are just simple examples of many, many properties that are available here. We live in an area that like tourists loves us. We're in the North Coast where we have no seaweed problem. We have the best weather. We have the best surfing beaches, and like pretty much swimming, everything we have. Everything is in 10 to 15 minutes driving or walking distance. So let's go to the next slide.
And looking at those kind of like central options for us, not everyone has the ability to work remotely or immediately start their full-time or maybe even a career when they come here. You want something that's going to generate you immediate ROI. And these units that Linda focuses on, as well as RealtorDR, is going to provide you that. This is, again, another unit, Sosua Ocean Village, amazing, 30 plus days, Bobby, you guys have this one rented. I was trying to look at a month that you had less than 30, and it was very hard to find, generating, again, an average 1% net return after all your expenses. So we wanted to take a moment and show these three communities because, like Linda said, there's great opportunities for you to come in and just get into the market. But a lot of people are looking for that security, how to restart their life, how to restart from a perspective that was pretty isolated over the last couple of years. And going into these communities allowed us to immediately start doing that, allowed us to start discovering this beautiful island from its high elevations to its 1,200 kilometer coastlines. We're definitely grateful to be here and to be a part of this team. I think that we really want to give you guys all the time for a Q&A, but I want to hand it over to Brett so that he can introduce himself as well as get that Q&A started.
Hey guys, sorry my camera's not working here tonight, but nice to see everyone that showed up. I appreciate that. So I'll give you a little background about myself. I was born and raised in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. I was a police officer for over 20 years, but while I was working as a police officer, I also started a few businesses. I had rental properties, I had a construction company, and one day one of my business partners said to me, he's going to the Dominican Republic. And I said, where is that? And he said, well, it's in the Caribbean. You want to go check it out? So we went down, we took a look. And about 3 months later, he moved his whole family down there, and he asked me if I wanted to buy a bar and hotel in the Dominican. I said, no, there's no way. Anyway, I own a bar and hotel in the Dominican Republic now, which is great. It was a good thing. What it did for me is it allowed me to learn the island, learn the people, learn the businesses down here. And when I retired from policing, I came down with full intentions of, working at the bar and doing those things. As it turns out, I got really, really, really good at real estate before I left, or I think I was good at it. And I started to do a little bit of real estate in the Dominican Republic, and that grew a lot. And when I finally met up with Bobby, he was the missing link in my armor, I guess. And we started RealtorDR, and from there, we built this amazing team with everyone that you see on the call today. And yeah, I never looked back. The Dominican Republic is just a really, really great place to live. It's a great place to, just to retire, because that's what I am. I'm a retiree from policing. So that was my first and foremost. I talked to a lot of people. I sell a lot of properties down here. I know we have just the quality of living that you can get here compared to anywhere else in the world it's unmatched. And that's kind of what the girls have been talking about. I just wanted to add one point to everything that they were saying, and then I'll just lead into the questions and answers right away. But one thing that I noticed in the Canadian market, and this is kind of what I put out there to my clients, is we are going into a recessionary period with inflation, and inflation is going to be everywhere. And I've noticed it a lot when I went back to Canada, when I was in Florida the other couple months ago, and just the price of everything has gone through the roof. Now in the Dominican, are we going to have inflation? Yes, we are. We're going to face inflation, but the average wage down here is under $800 a month. And that's, probably 9 million people live with that wage. And so we're gonna feel the brunt of inflation, but the inflation has to reflect the average monthly, income from the home. So what are we gonna see as Americans and Canadians and Europeans moving here? We're gonna see a little influx. Our coffee that may have cost us $2 down here might be $2.25. And if we were to buy that at Starbucks, that coffee is going to be a $7.50, $8 coffee. Food that you were normally getting at McDonald's for $5 is now $10. Here, we just aren't going to see the inflation rates. We're going to be able to continue to live our best lives, because when you're living in an area that's a little below the cost of living that you're used to, you're able to keep that living. And like the girls were also saying, is our weather is great down here. I mean, it's endless summer. I call it Groundhog Day. A lot of people hear me say that down here, and I call it Groundhog Day. Why? Because I can set my watch to the weather. I know when I wake up in the morning at 6:30, the sun's going to rise. It's going to be somewhere between 28 to 34 degrees. 34 is a hot day, but it's going to be between 28 to 34 degrees. The sun's going to shine. We're probably going to get an hour of rain sometime during the day, which is awesome because we all need a little bit of cool down period, which is great. And yeah. And the other thing that I tell people too is the worst day that you could have down here. I'm going to give you a little rundown of what the worst day looks like. You do whatever you do in your normal day, and let's say you have a bad experience that day, or just isn't the best day ever. So you go to the local gas station and they open a beer for you while you walk out, and you're not happy because you know what, the beer wasn't the beer you like. But you take that beer and you start walking down the beach, and you're, the warm water's hitting your legs and the sand's touching your legs, and you're drinking this beer and you're thinking about this bad day you're having. And as you're walking down the beach, some people run by you and they're having a great time, and you're still like, oh man, I'm still not having a good day. So you finish your beer and you go up to the bar that's just off the beach, and you grab a beer, you say hi to one of your friends, and you go back, and the sun's starting to set now, and the warm water's lapping onto your feet, and you're still upset, and you're kicking the sand. Then all of a sudden you see the sun setting over this beautiful mountain range, and you're on the beach walking, and you realize it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. We have a very good life here, and you know what? We enjoy having more Canadians, Americans move down here. So hopefully, I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and let's just get into the Q&A.
Yeah, on that note, guys, I know Bobby asked everybody a question at the beginning of the Zoom, and we want to give anybody, I see a couple hands up in the participant window. So give everybody the opportunity to just open up the floor, ask the questions that have come to mind. And if there's anything specific that you want us to expand on at a future date, we're happy to make sure that we follow up with everyone via email so that you have that way of communication to set up with Linda, Bobby, Brett, anyone that was on the call. So you guys would like, I can call out names. I see Hal from Sosua as their hand up. Was that
Hal Sousa? That's the gentleman that we actually
yes.
met in Florida. I know his last name
Looks like
threw me
Sosua.
off too.
My
in
apologies.
Florida.
It's Souza. Thank you for taking my
Souza.
question, guys. How you doing?
Great, yourself. It's nice to see you here.
Thanks. Nice seeing you guys. Hey, I'm at the sauna at the gym right now, but I wanted to make sure I got this meeting. Quick question. You displayed one of the investments that you sold that is renting at a $510 a night on average. What was the purchase price on that property?
That's the
425?
425.
No, I think
That's
he's
the one.
talking about the first one. That one is in
Oh,
Ethan's house in Casa
Ethan's
Linda.
house. Yes,
So-
that
The little
one is
nicer one.
$725,000.
Is the list price now, but he
Yes.
bought it for $450 and put about $80,000 into it.
So it's
In
listed for
renovation.
sale now.
Yeah,
Yes,
if he
it
gets
is
that,
back
if he
up for
gets that
sale.
price, he's happy, but he has the rent roll now to support it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a newer history. He already has the best rating on Airbnb, so he does incredible with it. But he's happy if we can flip that one. He's the type of client that once you sell it for him, he'll buy another two. So our goal is to keep him profitable, keep him happy, and turn over that property to the next homeowner that's going to be delighted with the ROI that's available.
Great. Hey, I don't want to hog the question, so just one more before I can pass my opportunity on.
Please.
What is like as far as insurance or taxes and on these properties? Like you buy a property and I mean here I'm in California, by the way, so everything is expensive here. I don't know about there. How does it work for taxes and insurance there?
Brett, you want to get that one?
Oop.
Okay, I'll get that one.
No, I can do that. I can do
Okay.
that. No. So taxes and insurance down here, they exist. In most cases in the Airbnb world, when you're making money with that, there isn't enough gains to really, alert for the taxes. So in Canada, I can speak for Canada. Like when if we claim the money back in Canada, then we pay taxes, Canadian taxes. Now there are taxes down here in the Dominican Republic, but you have to make over a certain bracket. The bracket's quite high, so usually you don't see that in the States. I mean, if you have foreign investments over 110,000, then you start paying your taxes over the $110,000 mark. As for property taxes down here, it's a 1% property tax. And that's an annual property tax. The only other tax that you pay on your property is it's called a land transfer tax, and that's only during the purchase. So during the purchase process, when you do the land transfer and it's going into your name, like the title transfer, it's a 3% tax on the value of the home, and the value of the home is assessed by the government. They have a kind of like a set parameter of what that's going to be. So it's not necessarily the purchase price, it's the government set price, which is always lower than what the purchase price is. Does that answer your question?
Yep, I think so. It's pretty detailed.
And
Perfect.
so Barb Rock, she's interested in knowing, how does the contract process work?
So I don't know if you can run back to that slide, Brittany, when Linda was talking in the beginning.
Sure can.
Yep. And that will help. We also can send out in the group chat, Brittany, there's an investing guide by Guzman and Ariza, which is one of the top law firms here in the Dominican Republic, who's our attorney. There's a free resource that we can share in the group chat. That will also help, third-party reference for people to review that will help give a lot of the information that Brett's sharing or that we've talked about on the call. That's a great resource. Basically, once you find a home that you like, hopefully with a RealtorDR preferably, is that you would prepare an agreement of purchase. So it's like an offer where the buyers and sellers agree on the basic terms, like what's the price, when's the closing date, how much is going to be put down in escrow, what's the remaining balance, is it a vendor take back or are they paying the full price? At that point in time, it gets turned over to the buyer's attorney. Most of the time here is that the buyer will pay for their attorney to facilitate the sales process. That being said, many sellers do have their own attorney that they pay for to make sure that, you know, they have their best rights represented. Usually attorney fee here roughly runs around 1%. So that would be a cost that is associated with purchasing. At that point in time, they draft up the contract of sale. It needs to be blue ink here. It'll be in Spanish, but you also can have it in English or the different language of your choice. At that point, both parties sign off on it. The balance of funds are transferred before the actual closing date. And then on the closing date, you sign your final contract, which from there, the lawyer starts the transfer process, which usually takes a couple of weeks to fully transfer the new property into the new homeowner's name.
You can move in.
I do believe I have up on the screen now as well, that kind of snapshot of the buying process. If you can't take a screenshot of this, guys, I am happy to make sure that this is sent to everyone that was on the call today. So you guys can just watch your emails after this and we'll send this content over to you, okay? And so Jill Cox, there was a question, as a remote worker, how is the internet? I'm sorry to jump in. I'm going to answer this. And the reason I want to answer it, I actually use a VoIP service for my work. So all of my calls are done through the internet. I cannot afford for a call to drop. I cannot afford to be quoting a client mid-sentence and drop the call because my whole price might change. And so Delancor is the internet service we use here. They have operating services all the way to the extent of a hotel. So if you have, you know, 100 rooms and you need the uploading and downloading speed for that whole establishment, they're servicing people here on the island.
You pay about $35
$35 a month to have what I was paying $100 a month for in Canada. And in Canada, I am in a new development, so our internet actually didn't work. So big difference there. I'm saving about $65 a month to have better service.
Yeah.
And so next question we had was from Melissa Donahoe, and it's, do the pre-construction units come furnished, and do you have a property management company?
Every pre-construction property or pre-sale is all different. Some options do include furniture or appliances. Most of them do not. So that would be an additional expense, but all of that will be indicated as we're reviewing different property and property options. As far as property managers go, absolutely. There's a lot of different selection here. So if you're remote, obviously being able, us as a company, to refer you to the right person to protect your investment is very important to us. We always vet the people and make sure that if we make a recommendation, that it's the right one to capitalize, increase revenues, lower your costs, and make sure that your investment is going to be a good investment for as long as you decide to hold on to it. In the major communities, like the ones that we mentioned today, like Casa Linda, Sosua Ocean Village, and Playa Laguna, there's people who specialize in those areas. So they're really, really good at that specific area. And there's many, we only mentioned a couple communities, but there's actually probably 25 plus communities all within 10 kilometers that all offer similar amenities and services.
And Julianne is wondering, what is the availability of homes under 100,000? And I'm assuming, is this Canadian or American? We're going to assume it's American.
Sure. Most of the sales prices that we're talking about here, so if there's Canadians on the phone, it's American price. Okay, so it's US dollars. So take that into consideration. The reality is that right now the cost of construction, it's risen. It's risen over the last couple of years, and it probably will continue to rise. As far as being able to build a villa in a good community for 100,000 is no longer possible. Probably to get into a villa starting at 2 bedrooms is probably with a really good community with a great rental history, excellent security would probably start you around 200,000 and plus. But there are some opportunities with different condo developments that offer different pricing options that would start anywhere, I would say, for something half decent for $100,000 and up. And obviously location plays a big part in it, right? The closer you are to the ocean, the more expensive it'll be. So that's always something that's taken into consideration when evaluating a property.
Awesome. We have, so Melissa, I got your question. Congratulations, by the way, on coming through. You're going to love it. And absolutely, while you're here, your needs will be taken care of. Amanda Stewart is wondering, what is the average cost for a property management to look after their Airbnb? Great question.
Sure. Usually the properties managers break it down into 2 types of rentals, depending on the investor strategy. Short-term Airbnb here is the most popular. You're going to have the highest amount of revenue, but obviously a lot more work because you have a higher turnover of guests that are visiting the property. And then you have long-term. So typically, if you're looking at long-term, you're probably looking at 10%. And then long-term 10%. And short-term, you're looking at 20 to 25%. Now that also, it depends on what services are offered. If you have a pool, if you have a garden, if all of those need to be maintained, obviously that would increase it to the little bit higher percentage, right? But each one is able to identify what services are required, and usually that's reflected on the percentage. And remember, it's only a percentage on revenue. So if it's not being rented out, you're not paying. Number 2, if you rent it out yourself, they're not charging you also. So if you have your family, friends, yourself that are blocking off time in the calendar, that's not a charge that they're charging you for.
And just to that point, guys, there are lots of communities that have these rental services already provided. For example, I know SOB that we just purchased in, they have the option to have things included in the rental pool or have a property manager. This kind of eliminates you needing to find someone if you're just quick for an investment, wanting to flip your cash really fast. But there's, like Bobby said, amazing referrals and references that RealtorDR will provide you. The team will provide you, as well as your experience being here with quite a few people on this call may already be utilizing those services themselves and have great stories for you. So just with that being said, I want to make sure if there's any more questions. Okay, another one came through. Were the property management fees included in your ROI examples? They sure were. We are including a net cost. So if you're not managing your own property, what that overall cost was, we were just excluding from each one of the examples for you guys. Again, Barb wants to know, does the buyer pay for the realtor commission fee to purchase, or does the seller?
The seller always pays, right? So whoever's selling pays the commission.
Great questions tonight, guys. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for being so engaged, because I have been on calls before where I've been afraid to ask a question, or maybe you don't know exactly how to articulate it, but these questions are phenomenal.
And I seen somebody left a comment, where can they get information? We'll leave the resource Investing in the Dominican Republic that can help identify it for you. And also we have a full-time accountant who works with us. And when it comes to investing here, it all depends where your money's going. So if you're keeping it on the island, then obviously that's applicable for that information that's relevant here. But if you're sending your Airbnb account and it's being deposited into your Canadian account, that's a question for your accountant. So they're really 2 different things. There's also many different ways to do your Airbnb. You can put it into a PayPal, you can offset it with, home improvements, upgrade costs. If there's interest payments there. So most people here, to be completely straightforward with you, I'd say 99%, maybe even a higher percentage than that, if that's possible, do not file any taxes for their investment properties. But that information is available.
Yeah. So to that point, the question was, where can we get information on tax brackets? Bobby answered, for income taxes for your investment property. Are there CPAs and where can we find them? And what about home insurance? Is it recommended to purchase insurance to protect against hurricanes and other catastrophes? I just want to kind of touch base on the hurricanes and other catastrophes, guys. Dominican Republic has a very upper advantage, I'll say, because of the way the elevation of the mountains are on either side of this area in the North Coast. We are very protected over here and the storms don't hit us as hard. However, what we found from looking at insurance is as long as you are 2 kilometers away from the beach, your insurance is pretty average. If you're closer to the beach, obviously there's higher insurances just for that rising tides or different natural effects that could be caused. So that's just one point I wanted to make. Very reasonable were the insurance prices that we found on our home here.
And I also can share an insurance agent here for health insurance and for car insurance and for home insurance. Most people don't take home insurance, to be honest with you. It doesn't cover natural disasters. We build a home different here. It's made out of like concrete and rebar. So it's really, really different. So really the only thing the home insurance would like protect you for is like a fire, right? That would be the main thing that it would protect you against. But being that it's concrete and rebar, it's totally different construction than it would be in most parts, I would assume, in North America. I know definitely in Canada, it's extremely different. Therefore, like I said, most people don't take it, but it's always an option that is absolutely available.
I want to jump in really quick on that too as well. Like we haven't had a major incident here. Like we haven't had hurricanes and stuff, and that has something to do with our topography. We have 2 of the highest peaks in the Caribbean. We have one mountain called Pico Duarte that's over 10,000 feet. And because of these mountain ranges that we have, like the island's separated from the north coast and the south coast. And the north coast gets there's a trade wind that goes by the island, and also the wind that you get off these mountain peaks pushes the hurricanes out. I mean, poor Haiti gets hammered, but we never really see it. And the other thing I wanted to say on the insurance front and things, and I just want to touch a little on healthcare down here, because a lot of people from Canada and the US want to know about healthcare and costs associated with that. Insurance will run you for healthcare down here around $50 per month, which is extremely cheap. All your medications and things like that, you can get direct from the pharmacy, which are also very, very cheap, because these like medicine and dentists, all your dental health and things like that, they have to be indexed for the local population. So for instance, to get your teeth cleaned down here from a dentist, you're looking at about $20. And these dentists aren't, shoebox dentists. They have all the same equipment that you would see in a normal dentist office back home. So just, it's another thing that goes into cost of living. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure people got that info.
Yeah,
Amazing
right
points.
before I came back from Canada, the last time when I cleaned my teeth for $180, and I rushed and I came back here, found out I could have get it done only for $20. So noted for next time.
Well, my friend, a good friend of mine actually got veneers put in, and he got quoted $55,000 in the States, and he got his veneers put in down here for $5,000. And the guy can afford the $55,000. It's amazing.
I think there was a question, has anyone used their health insurance? Yes, we have. So my family's 4, myself, my wife, my daughter who's 9, my son who's 12. Thank goodness we haven't had to use it for anything major, but we pay about $1,280 per year American for that. And then, there's been a couple times with the kids just having some rashes and stuff. We are a tropical country. A couple other small times that we've had to use it, and the cost is absolutely like, when you go there, you think they made a mistake. And I'm serious. You're like, really? That's it? And it's literally such a small amount that it's, thank goodness, like hopefully we never have to use it in a serious case.
I do have a couple more questions here, guys, and we obviously want to respect everyone's time tonight. I know we're getting close to 9. I'll get these couple questions in, and if anybody wants to follow up with us afterwards, we're so happy to expand on any of this. So I see, Al, your question was, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Sorry, LNN, you were asking about, speaking of Haiti, are there potential issues with Haiti's political unrest and how it directly affects the DR?
No,
I
I'll
don't know.
speak to that.
Yeah.
I can speak to that. There's, you know what, we don't really have any issues with Haiti. Again, Haiti is, geographically speaking, there's another mountain range with Haiti. We don't really get any of the issues from Haiti in the Dominican Republic. We also have like a well-funded army, and that border is actually very well maintained. So no, we don't really see the Haiti issues here. Most Haitians that come across the Dominican are really, really happy to be here. It's almost comparable to, you know, the Mexicans that cross the border into the United States. They come here and they work, and they're very, you know, really good people, and they work very hard. As for the political stuff, we don't see that like they do in Haiti, and we're an island of plenty, right? The people here are very happy, because when you have 9 million people that are making, you know, under $800 a month, they're the majority, and we don't have food shortages, we don't have food crises, we don't have these issues that we have, you know, elsewhere. The people here, you know, they get up in the morning, and if you're hungry, there's a mango sitting in the tree. If you're hungry, there's, you know, roasted chicken everywhere down here. We produce more food than we can consume on this island. So a lot of the food product we ship out to the Americas. We also have, like, a lot of people don't realize the wealth on this island and the jobs that are here. We have one of the most successful gold mines in the world, which is Barrett Gold. They were recorded back, I think it was back in 2019, my stat is from, but they produced $1.6 billion worth of gold with a burn rate of 600 million, making it $1 billion of profit for that one gold mine. Also, you know, we have Zona Francas, and a lot of people don't know that Zona Francas like an industrial area where it's a tax-free zone for companies. So things like Victoria's Secret are made down here, Timberland boots. We also have Swisher Sweets. A lot of the major cigar tobacco in the world is also manufactured here. We're the largest exporter of plantains and other tropical fruits. So that keeps our local population very stable.
And
I can answer the one last question that I seen there that popped up there about surfing. I love to surf. It was like literally one of the top reasons why we started traveling to the North Coast here. Yeah, today it was, my son said it was 8 feet. He's in, both my children have won in surf competitions down here. And today he told me the waves were 8 feet, and I just laughed. They were probably maybe like 3 feet, but you know, I like their imaginations on the size of it. The summer is smaller, but you know what? It's, you can always use a longboard and you still have fun. Just being out on the water is truly an incredible thing. For me as a parent, to be out on the water with my kids is just a dream come true. It's so serene. You know, I'd encourage all of you guys, a healthy lifestyle. What better way than to pick up a hobby, or if you're already an avid surfer, you'll have tons of different spots that you can surf here. We were actually the main sponsor for the first ever WSL event, World Surf League event, that happened this year. I think it was in March. And it was a proud moment for us here on the North Coast. So absolutely lots of things to do when it comes to surf. Linda and Brittany, if anyone has additional questions, how do they get a hold of you guys so that you guys can continue to aid them with their curiosity? And obviously, if they're coming down and visiting, I'm sure we can help them with everything from where to stay and what to eat, and introduce them to our community.
Yeah, we'll be sending everybody a thank you email today that's going to have our direct contact, and that way you can respond to that with any extended questions. I know we had some questions about working, we had some questions about clinics. We have all of these answers, guys, and we can even set up a secondary call if that's more comfortable for you. So everyone watch your emails tonight, the one you registered for this group, and you will receive a thank you from each one of us.
Fantastic. And guys, please make sure you follow our YouTube channel at RealtorDR. Make sure that you do follow it. We have fantastic videos comes up. We feature agents, we feature a lot of homes and a lot of knowledge that comes with it. We would like to see you guys follow our Instagram and Facebook page as well, so you can keep in touch with us always. And as Brittany mentioned, we will be sending you guys an email, and this is our Instagram page that is featured for all of us that are on a call here today. If you guys would like, you can add us there and send us any questions that you have as well. But we will follow up with the questions that we couldn't answer today in the email.
Yeah, so I just want a quick shout out. You know, Al, you're going to get a response specifically because I think it'll be a little bit more of an in-depth conversation for us. Michelle, thank you. Jill, all of you guys expect follow-ups, and thank you again for all of your time. It was really a pleasure to be able to share our experience with you, and hopefully this is the last virtual time we see each other. We'll see you guys here on the island next.
Good night, everyone.
Have a
Thank
blessed
you
night,
very
guys.
much, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
I don't know how to.